Hey everybody, happy Monday. Welcome to the Wise Guys. We are so pumped for tonight's show. The Wise Guys is the largest BYU sports live stream show in the world, presented by Brady Plus, distributed by the Deseret News. Podcast will be up tomorrow wherever you get your podcast. We've now been on ships at sea, as some folks on the cruise were watching Wise Guys last week. Tonight we got a pair, we're calling it 4-Star Monday. A pair of BYU's big-time recruits, McKay Madsen and Brock Harris, make their Wise Guys debut.
Yeah, it's how
and
fun.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks. It's good to be back, and I have a little tan because it was warm on the southern end of the cruise, but kind of cold in LA the other day, and in Newport when we got back, it was cold when we left. But a lot of folks came up to me on the ship while we were out there and said, "Hey, we listen to Wise Guys all the time. Keep it up. We love it." And they were from all over the United States on this cruise, and folks from all over the United States came up and said they're watching Wise Guys. And so,
Sweet.
and you know, Linda Murray, who's been pretty much with us since day one.
Yeah.
I ran into Linda on the cruise and her husband Rich, and they said, "Hey, are we like the first subscribers to Wise Guys ever?" And I said, "You might be." I said, "I don't know if I can figure out who the very first was, but you're definitely like with us since day one." And she says, I think we should get together with you and your wife and have like an afternoon snack or dinner or something. So we got together with Linda and her husband.
Fantastic.
On the cruise. Brenda and I did. And it was so fascinating to learn about them and learn about their connection to Wise Guys and all of that. So we absolutely had a great time meeting her and her husband. And she's one of our loyal followers and is always on the chat every week. It was so fun to meet those of you that came up and said hi to me and say that you stay connected with BYU through this show. And we're grateful you do for being so loyal to us. And we'll try to keep it rolling and keep you posted on all things BYU.
Already on the stream, we're in Oregon and we're in North Carolina. So we got the coasts. And now let's just fill in all the states in between. Yep. There's Boise, Idaho, Harriman, Utah, and on it goes. Please let us know where you're taking us in from, wherever you are in the world tonight. We'll try to give you a shout out as we always do.
William Mitchell saying he, straight off the cruise, can't wait for 2027. They're going to do it in June. And
it's a better month.
Doing it in the Caribbean this next time. And I feel like somebody else has to stay home and you get to go with me this time. So,
listen,
maybe we take DJ Jack, you and me.
Yeah, that would be
and
good.
we do Wise Guys from the cruise.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. And we got to do it outside of baseball season.
Yeah.
You know, we had 4 games last week. People said, "Hey, why aren't you with Blaine on the cruise?" I'm like, "I'm doing 4 games this week."
Well, people kept asking me, "Where's Dave? Where's Dave?" And I said,
"Just say he's down in the engine room."
I said somebody had to stay back and kind of cover everything that's going on back there. And I said, unfortunately for Shep and for Dave, there are baseball / soft, like your sports that you do so much of were in season, and you had to stay home. And then you guys hosted Sports Nation. Like I was on Sports Nation with you from the ship, but a couple of times, but you were hosting the mothership all week long, and it's because you and Shep stayed behind that the rest of us could go and host those panels and do all those things on the ship.
That's good. We had a good time, and it's good everywhere. How about Mark saying didn't know it was a whiteout? Well, checking in from Las Vegas, heading over to see Arizona State BYU baseball series later this week. That's awesome. Wear your royal blue and make some noise over there. There's Huntsville, Alabama on the show on the live stream tonight.
William Mitchell says that Libby and I need to do some of our music on the next cruise.
Libby could be the main event.
Absolutely do that and come just like Savannah did on the shows this week. She could do that. Problem is Libby's under contract, just started a new show, Smash, on Broadway that opened a week ago. So well, it's 2 years. Yeah, maybe by then she might be able to do it. She might be able to do it. So
hey, we remind you to go to wiseguys.com, subscribe to our free email. Also on our YouTube channel, just hit the subscribe button. We're growing that number as well. And you'll get, speaking of our free email, you'll just get it, and you get highlights of the show later in the week. It's like a second Wise Guys. But later in the week, and it's all free, which is the best price ever.
Yeah, and one of the reasons it's free is because of our great relationship with Brady Plus. Brady Plus is our title sponsor. Brady Plus provides cleaning, food service, and packaging equipment, dispensers, and service repairs with over 150 distribution facilities across the country and over 6,000 employees. And I was in Newport, and I saw Brady stuff.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
And a restroom. So we're grateful to Travis Brady. He's a BYU grad. He's been with us not just as a fan, but a supporter from early on, and we're grateful to Travis for doing that.
We love the Bradys. Deseret News is our distributor. Look for some of our stuff in the Deseret News and Deseret.com later in the week. Utah's newspaper since 1850, and so they're a great partner with us. And we got some other things we're going to announce coming up in the next little while that's
right.
huge for Wise Guys and for BYU fans all over the world. There's some big stories we want to jump into. Already folks on the stream talking about it. BYU loses a pair of starters in the transfer portal. We'll talk about who's going to replace them. Then we're also going to look down the road a little bit.
Right, because we're going to look after missions.
After missions.
But two of the biggest recruits in BYU history, frankly.
Yeah.
And, coming in the same year. 4-star recruits McKay Madsen and Brock Harris.
They are, first of all, they're still in high school,
right?
But they are so excited to be on the show tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited to have them.
And it'll be their Wise Guys debut. And then we probably won't have them back on. McKay's going out on his mission to Argentina, and then we'll have him back on in a couple of years. And then Brock still got a year.
Right, because he's a year behind.
And then his mission, and then coming in. And we're also going to ask about that 5-star quarterback who's a friend of theirs.
Yeah. Will
they all be together? Will one be handing the ball off to the other or throwing to the other here in 28?
Yeah,
we'll find out.
So here's my question. You know how like it used to be when back in the day, back in our day, you only got to call home twice a year on Christmas and on Mother's Day, right? So, but now you can call home every week. So I'm wondering while McKay's out there, can one of his calls one week just be to us on Wise Guys?
Feels like it could be. We'll be like family after tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
Here's an interesting question from John. I believe I heard someone on the radio say that Ryder Lyons was planning on going on a 1-year mission. Is that actually a new mission call that our missionaries can request? I've never even heard of the notion of signing up for a 1-year mission. Sometimes missions are cut short by health or other reasons, but no, I think it's still 2 years for the men, 18 months for the women, and until they announce that at General Conference, that's pretty much how that is.
I watched General Conference. I didn't get that part.
They didn't say that.
I will say that senior missionaries can choose the length.
Yeah.
Right. Senior missionaries can serve a year or 18 months or 2, whatever they're able to do and they're willing to do. They figure out a way to allow them to serve. So yeah, senior missionaries can.
Yeah. There's no the 1 year. McKay's going on a 2-year church mission, the first of the big 3 heading out. And I would imagine if you could pick the length of your mission, that would become quite the rage.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's the last rage the church wants to start. So a good question, but that's where I think that's going. We'll also look at BYU's new basketball roster. So that is our lineup for tonight. And Brock Harris will be first up here in just a few minutes from down in St. George. But let's start with the cruise. 2027 is the next one. You talked about it a moment ago. I think there were 3,500 BYU fans on there. Of course, we had it covered on Sports Nation, and there's lots on social media. But what was your takeaway?
It was better than I thought. And I was expecting good things, but it was so well planned and so well orchestrated. I guess I shouldn't be surprised when folks like David Almadova is involved, like who we had on here, and Troy Dunn, who we had on here. Like both of those guys have sat in this seat and been on the show. They thought of everything. For a first go at it, it went off without a hitch, really. The entertainment was outstanding. Think about it, I'm hosting panel discussions, some of which have 3 former first round draft pick football players on it.
Yeah.
Outland Trophy winners, Davey O'Brien Award winners, Tom Holmoe and Kalani Sitake. And it wasn't just that, it was the interaction with the fans and Cougar legends and former players and administrators, that really was just a fun thing. Where else are you going to go on a cruise and have 3,500 people on the cruise with you that all kind of come from the same background and think the same way you do? It was like going on a cruise with a family, only your family has 3,000 plus people in it.
Yeah. And
so it really was something special. And think about this. You pull into Ensenada, and they have fields all set up in the port. And Jen Rockwood's out teaching, who's been on this show as well. The great women's soccer coach. She's out teaching a soccer clinic to all the young people out there that go out and get a soccer clinic. And then you have Heather Olmstead up on the deck on the volleyball courts teaching a volleyball clinic. Oh, and by the way, Jimmer Fredette's teaching a three-point shooting clinic, along with Travis Hansen helping him out, do some basketball stuff. And then you have current players that were there helping with these clinics, with the football clinics and the basketball clinics. Delaney Gibb, who announced that she was coming to BYU on this show, was there working with the youth and serving on panels and doing all these things. It was a wild success, so successful that they're saying we'll have to see how it goes and then we'll make a decision. Well, they made a decision before Cruise was over to do one in June, and Mountain America Credit Union was a big part of putting this all together, and they're committed to help again in 2027. So summer 2027 looks like Caribbean this time, and I know that they put a QR code up the last day of the cruise, and they had 1,000 pre-registrations.
Wow. Great.
So there you go.
Awesome. Well, we're glad you're back, and we're glad that was fun. And now let's get on to the business of things. Harrison Taggart and Keelan Marion enter the transfer portal since we were together last. Taggart started at Oregon, transferred to BYU. Now he's going to take his game somewhere else. Second leading tackler on last year's 11-2 team. Justin Anna, the linebackers coach, was on the show last week. This was before Taggart's announcement. But it was interesting that as I went back, and you can go back and watch that too, as you go back and watch it, there was a great emphasis on the depth at linebacker, including Siala Serra and Ace Kafusi, who may have had the best spring of all of them, according to Justin Anna. So react first to losing one of the big three. And granted, Jay Hill doesn't guarantee any spots. So we just assume they were the big three because they were the big three last year. But there are other guys coming that are going to challenge the big three. And sometimes when you get challenged like that, and you want to guarantee and you don't get it. We've seen it before. We saw it with Crew Wakely. You just go, I'm going to go try somewhere else. And then you're replaced. But Harrison Taggart, did that surprise you when you saw that?
I was a little bit surprised because Harrison Taggart off the field is such a perfect fit for BYU. And he didn't feel like, I know that he didn't love the culture at Oregon when he was there the first year. And he fit so perfectly in and had so many good friends here and just seemed to be so comfortable there off the field. And you would think that would be part of it. And he was so productive on the field last year. When you're pushing 70 tackles, you're a big part of this defense. So it hurts that he's going. It hurts mostly because he's a veteran that understands the defense and he's productive, right? Yeah. BYU's crazy deep. And at that position, it's no coincidence, and I talked about this on Sports Nation this morning, that the three transfers, you mentioned Crew Wakely, and then you got Harrison, and we're going to talk about Harrison, we're going to talk about Keelan, come from the three deepest positions on the football team this year. Part of that is the reason they're going. Yeah. If you're Harrison Taggart, and you're that productive, and everybody talks about the linebackers, and you're the third guy they talk about. They don't talk about him before they talk about Isaiah Glasker, who could be a first-round draft pick 2 years from now. They don't talk about you before they talk about Jack Kelly, right, who's a probable high draft pick next year. They talk about Harrison words like so productive, a little undersized but really good and I think sometimes you can feel like you're a little bit underappreciated. Do you know what I mean? Feel like, man, do I really want to be the number 3 guy here, or do I want to go someplace where I can be the focus of the defense and be the guy in the middle that everybody says, hey, and our linebacking core led by Harrison Taggart is the guy. And somebody that is a little thinner at linebacker may be willing to pay an NIL a premium for a Harrison Taggart, right, to be the guy. We're at BYU. Like they're not going to pay him they're going to pay him what's fair and his market value.
But it might not be the same as some of the others.
Because if his value to somebody else who's thin at linebacker may be significantly more than it is to BYU, and that's okay, right? And so he's going to go out. He's probably going to get more NIL. He's probably going to go to a team that's at least going to tell him that you're going to be the feature guy and you're the guy that we're going to build this thing around. And if that's what he wants, then we need to be grateful that he came, and we need to be grateful for how productive he was, and we need to wish him well and hope that he fits in there. Having said that position is crazy deep. Yeah. And I know that Justin came on last week. Siala Serra was really good in spring ball. Siala is a bigger and stronger and has a huge upside and more an NFL body than Harry. Now Harrison's crazy fast, but Siala's also really fast, and he's just a sophomore. Miles Hall's just a sophomore. Great potential. Ace Kafusi's just a sophomore. Great potential. And then we talked about Isaiah and Jack. People forget we play a lot of 4-2-5 at BYU. I mean, we only play with 2 backers. So these guys are all interchangeable.
Yeah.
So Isaiah and Jack go and play inside when they play 4-2-5. And then Stroh Bryant, Micah Kafusi, Pearson Watson is a young guy that's up and coming. It's one of the deepest position groups on the team. And these young sophomores, Hall and Acera and Kafusi, they have, and both Kafusi's really, they have a huge upside. And so guess what's going to happen? Ciale and Miles and Ace and those guys, they're going to get a few more reps this year than they would have otherwise. Yeah. Ciale may have to step up and be one of the guys. He might have to be the third guy behind with Jack and Isaiah out there. He's very capable of that. So I don't see a drop-off. You're going to miss Harry for his leadership and his understanding of the defense. But from a talent perspective, they got a bunch of guys that can play, and I think Justin outlined that with you last week.
Wisconsin in the house, Vernal, Utah, Covina, California. Great to have you folks here on our live stream. Keep them coming, and keep your questions coming too. Let's talk about Keelan Marion. The same week that Pro Football Focus named him their preseason All-American kick returner at BYU, he enters the transfer portal, averaged 26 yards per kick, returned 2 touchdowns, returned 2 kicks for touchdowns last season. Spent a lot of time as the key receiver during spring ball because Chase was out of drills, healing his shoulder, and Lassiter's gone, and so Marion. Remember in the alumni game too, it was the talk of who was the story of spring. Keelan Marion. And so now he's gone. Is it going to be tougher to replace him on kickoffs or at receiver?
Kickoffs, in my opinion. Like he's like. Again, this is one of the 3 deepest groups on this team, and we've talked about this for weeks now, is the safety group, the wide receiver group, and the linebacker group. So here's the first transfer, Crew Wakely, out of the safety group, maybe the deepest on the team. Next transfer announced is out of the wide receiver group, and then the next is out of the linebacker group. And so I think he's such a explosive, guy, and he hits that seam so quickly, and he's a threat to go for a home run at any time. I think they probably miss him more in the kick return game than they do at wide receiver. And there's some good guys, but a little unproven at this point.
Yeah.
They're proven guys at wide receiver coming back. The kick return game, Parker Kingston, showed us what he can do as a punt returner. He's got crazy speed like Keelan Marion, and he can go back and return kicks. Cody Hagan was an elite level kick returner in high school. Yeah. And Cody Hagan, people forget Cody Hagan ran 10,500 meters in high school. Like, he's blazingly fast, just like Keelan.
JoJo Phillips could do it. What about one of the McKenzie brothers?
Well, Don McKenzie, another 10,500 meters guys. Don return kicks. Then Enoch Nalahini was also a kick return guy and has a little bit of experience at the college level. And so that's kind of the group that will look to fill the void there. Now, and so we'll see who steps up. And who do I think? I think Cody could be a guy that could step up big time at both positions. And so on the receiver side, Chase Roberts, Cody Hagan, I think is going to take a monster leap forward at wide receiver this year. He's got the same kind of speed Keelan Marion has on the outside, only, but he may be a little more sure-handed than Keelan. Parker Kingston's a proven commodity at that slot receiver. Tay Nakua looked really, really good in spring ball, and the great line of Nakua family. Don McKenzie back from his mission now a full year. I expect him to take a big step forward. Marquise, I'm trying to remember how to say his last name, Taliulu. He's a big body wide receiver. They talked about moving to tight end. I think he's going to stay at wide receiver at 6'4". And then Waller Lawson was a freshman who came for spring ball and looked really good. And then JoJo Phillips, who you mentioned, that could return kicks. JoJo's another long, athletic, big guy out there. That's a tremendous group. It's even better if Keelan's there, but there's plenty of talent to go around that there should be no drop-off at wide receiver.
Here's the question for discussion. And Brock Harris is going to join us here in a few minutes. Old Zuby on the stream. Love what softball's doing. Worried about baseball. What are your thoughts? We're going to tackle both sports coming up a little later in the show, so hang with us, Old Zuby. BYU's biggest transfer gains, Keanu Tanavasa, Carson Ryan. Biggest losses, Harrison Taggart and Keelan Marion. Which matters more?
So it's interesting to me. The gains came at positions with the least experience and the most need for talent. The losses came from groups that have the most depth and the most talent. So if you just think of it in that way, the gains are significantly more important than the losses for that reason and that reason alone, right? Because I just don't see a drop-off at either position at linebacker or wide receiver because there's just too many guys to step up. Keanu he was Utah's best defensive lineman last year on one of the best defensive lines in the country. He comes in and he just changes the game up front. He's the guy you have to game plan for. Or remember the last time BYU had a guy like that, it was Kyrus, where teams would start the game plan, the offensive coordinator would go, okay, before we even get into anything else, what do we do with this guy? Because he can just disrupt our entire offense if we don't figure out, we need to double him on every play, what are we going to do? That's Keanu. So Keanu himself offsets those other two.
I think he's significant because, one, we've spent time with him. He's a leader, and leaders get the guys around them to play better.
Right.
And from the defensive tackle spot, we saw solid play there last year, and a lot of guys with less experience. And so here comes a kid who's a man who when you talk to him, go, have you been here 10 years? Because he is all in the culture, and so I agree with you. I think that's big. I've got an article in the Deseret News today. Players and programs like Suits and Suitors are always looking for the right fit. You can read that at Deseret.com. That transfer portal, by the way, closes on Friday, April 25th. So that's the last day a kid can get in.
Right.
Now, after that, they're in. You can shop
can
the
go
whole
shop
summer long.
Right.
So that's Friday. So if you're worried about any others jumping in, just circle that date.
Right.
Big 12 Media Day is coming up in July 8th and 9th. After further review, July 29th on BYU TV. All those things are just right around the corner. Brock Harris is going to join us in just a sec. We do want to mention the Fan Fest have been announced for BYU football and the athletics. This Saturday at Sandtown Park in St. George, 6 to 8 p.m. And then Sunday night is a devotional in St. George featuring head coach Kalani Sitake. That's at 7 p.m., 3167 East, 1140 South in St. George. And then Saturday, May 3rd, they're at Freeman Park in Idaho Falls from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
I'll be at that one.
You're going to that one?
Yeah, I'm gonna. I think Jerem has to be back to call something, maybe volleyball
or baseball.
Well,
no, I'm doing.
You're doing baseball.
Yeah.
I think he might be doing. I can't remember what he's doing.
Something.
So I'm gonna go. I'll be on that one on the May 3rd. So I'll see you guys up in Idaho Falls.
Our first guest tonight is the highest-rated football player to commit to the Cougars since 2006. When it comes to 2026, the recruiting class, ESPN ranks the 6'7", 240-pound tight end as the #1 player in Utah and the 33rd best player in the entire country. It is our pleasure to welcome Brock Harris to the Wise Guys, making his debut. Hey, Brock. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good.
So, Brock, you were putting some moves on us with a camera there when you first came on.
Very elusive.
My bad, I was unmuting myself.
Hey,
no worries.
Are you going to be at the fireside with your future head coach down there Sunday night?
We'll see. My parents were just talking about it.
Yeah. That would be a good thing to appear at. Maybe sit on the front row, right in the middle, so Kalani has to stare at you the whole time. That's good. That's good marketing, good positioning for you.
Plus, Brock, you know this, I think, but Kalani's a great speaker. He gave a talk at the devotional on the cruise ship, cruising with the Cougs.
Yeah.
Man, he was so good. And Tanner Wall, one of the team's leaders, spoke as well. And I thought, man, Tanner Wall just handled that like a general authority. It was like ridiculous how good they were. So Kalani's a treat to listen to. So if you can get there, make sure you get there, Brock, all right?
All right.
So look, you're wrapping up your junior year at Pineview in St. George. What's the most exciting thing that happened to you today?
Today?
Yeah.
I got to work out today. I guess that's the most exciting thing.
Nothing happened to you in class? It was just a regular day of high school?
No, we got school off today.
Is that right?
We had it off last Friday and then Monday
so
for
kind
Easter.
of like an Easter break.
Wow, that's sweet.
So what was the workout today? Do you like split up into different body parts? Do you do full body? Like what was your workout like today?
Today was all lower body. It's not like a back and by or a split like that. It's just all lower body. And then tomorrow we'll do upper body. And then, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was Coach Edwards or who used to say, arms for show, legs to go.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, lower body important. Arms are good for picking up dates, but legs are what make a difference out on the field.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
Brock, at what point in the development of your football skills did you realize that this was going to become a pretty big deal?
I guess I'd say when I got my first offer, freshman year, after my first season in high school playing receiver. I was at 7-on-7 practice, and my coach calls me over and he's like, "Hey, Miami's going to offer you next week." And I was like, "Whoa!" So that's definitely when I knew.
That's when you thought, "Hey, this can take me somewhere.
I might be able to do something with this." So you were just a freshman, and you have Miami, who's a very visible national program, saying, "Hey, we want you," and then it's just kind of gone from there. How have you been able to stay grounded and just kind of keep your head down and work with all of that around you for these last 3 years, really, and now going into your senior year? What do you do to stay grounded?
I don't know. I mean, you can't just focus on all the offers and all the attention and stuff. It won't stay if you're not performing on the field. So you have to work hard and keep getting better. And there's always new guys popping up that are great too. So you got to keep working and show everybody that you still got it every year. And yeah.
4-star BYU commit Brock Harris on the Wise Guys, presented by Brady Plus and distributed by the Deseret News. When you always hear 4-star before your introduction, because that's such a big thing, does that make you feel good? It's like that's 4 stars. That's better than 3. It's always better than 3 stars. But in this rating system, do you feel like that's fair? You're okay with it?
Yeah, it's cool. I don't want to I don't know. I think I might be better than some 5-star tight ends that are above me, but yeah, I mean, obviously it's a blessing.
Well, it's important to feel that way too, and you probably are. A lot of times we've seen over the course of history that mission kids committing to BYU, if you committed to Alabama, someone would say, well, he's a 5-star tight end. Or a quarterback, 5-star quarterback, and they commit to BYU, and then all of a sudden it's a 4 or a 3, and you're like, that doesn't make any sense. The stars don't make a lot of sense anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
And, Brock, it's when it's all said and done, the stars don't really matter. You've got the offers to go to big-time programs. You've chosen to go to BYU, and now, it's up to you because the sky's the limit on what you can do with this thing. If you were talking to somebody about your game, forget about stars. What makes you special as a tight end? What characteristics do you have physically and mentally that people should know about that makes you who you are on the football field?
I'd definitely say that I'm not just good at one side of being tight end. I can do both sides, blocking and running routes and catching the ball. So yeah, I think some guys can be just a mainly receiving tight end like a Kelsey, but I want to be like a Kittle who can do it all. So yeah.
Is that the guy you watch the most in the NFL?
Yeah.
And he is big, strong, great hands, but he does do it all, doesn't he? When he's healthy, you can't guard him out there.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Your choices to play came down to BYU, Michigan, Georgia, and Oregon. What was it about BYU, now that you've had some perspective, some time to put it in perspective? What was it about BYU that won you over in the end?
I mean, it was a crazy battle. I mean, in my head, it wasn't always I know it's BYU, but in the end, for the last 2-3 months, I think I knew. But I think it's just the comfortability I have there, and I know I'll be happy there. I've been going to their camps for forever now, since I was in 8th grade, and just know everybody there, and they're great people. And obviously, I'm a member of the church, and just a ton of factors play into it. I just think it's the best fit.
During your visits to campus and your time in LaVell Edwards Stadium, you've been to camps for all these years. What have you noticed is different about BYU than the other places? Because you visited these other places. What made BYU stand out to you?
Dude, the spirit is at BYU, man. For sure. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I think every time I was there, it's just like, wow, it's something special here. And like I've talked to other big recruits that are thinking about BYU, and they literally say the same thing. And their members, it's like the spirit, bro. I felt the spirit so much.
Yeah, it really, you know what's interesting, Brock, is that, so here's Yegor Demon. Have you followed the basketball team at all, BYU's basketball team?
Yeah.
And so Yegor's not a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, like all of us are. And here he is over in Moscow, Russia. And he comes to BYU because he felt something special. And in his announcement that he's going to the NBA because he's a certain first-round draft pick, he talked about exactly that, which is really something special when players that aren't members of the church are also feeling that spirit. It's got to be something that's pretty strong. And it sounds like with you being a member of the church, you know, it really rang true to you.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, every time I was there.
Tell us about the phone call you made to Kalani to tell him you were coming. How'd that go?
So actually, me and my dad and mom made a trip up there, and we weren't planning on telling them. Like we didn't tell them we were going to commit. We were just coming up, and we were like talking about some other stuff, and my dad was just like, "You have anything to tell him?" I didn't realize that was the cue to tell him. I was like, "No," and he's like, "Yeah, you do." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm committing."
It was that simple, huh?
Yeah, it was. Kalani was there, A-Rod, Fessy, Coach Gilbride, all of them were there. It was pretty funny, but it was really cool.
What was Kalani's reaction? What did he do?
I think he just like gave a let's go and. Got up and dapped me up and was smiling for sure. And yeah.
Were they surprised? Maybe not necessarily that they were going to get you in the end. Were they surprised that they got you that day?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, it was kind of a coming down to it. I told them I was planning on committing somewhere soon, and I think maybe they could have gotten the hint that I was when I told them I was coming up for just out of nowhere. Not like nothing was going on there. And yeah, it was just.
So what was the vibe like when you left the room? You know, now everyone's done the hugs and this and that. And now the highest rated recruit since 2006 at BYU just committed. Now you're leaving the room. What was the vibe like?
Great. We were all smiles, great vibes. I mean, Coach Gilbride, he just kept dapping me up. He's like, "This is awesome, man. I've been dreaming of coaching you," and yeah, it was just great.
That's awesome.
Now you've got some time. It sounds like you've had some time to settle in and feel really, really good about that decision. What's the plan now? Between now, you've got a whole senior season in front of you, and you know, then some time for whatever you're going to do. So fill us in on the plan between now and when you'll be on the field at LaVell Edwards Stadium.
Yeah, so this summer I'll take my official visit to BYU, and I'm not doing any other officials. I locked it down with BYU. No more recruiting from anyone else. And then we'll see if I'm doing camps. I don't think I will. But then, yeah, the next up and coming season, we're already practicing and stuff. One more practice with spring ball, and then we're done. And then, yeah, the season.
What is your plan after high school? Is there a mission plan there for you? What's the timeline there?
Yeah, so I'm going to graduate early, December of my senior year, and then I'm going to go on my mission immediately around January.
So you'll be back in time for spring ball when you come back from mission. So you'll go January
28.
to January, and you'll be back for spring ball, which is great because guys that come back right early sometimes have a chance to be in good enough shape to play that season.
Yeah.
Is that the hope?
Yeah, that's the thought process behind it.
So where do you want to go on your mission? I'm asking this kind of tongue in cheek because wherever you say you don't want to go, that's where you're going to get called. So are there any places where you go, man, I wish I could go here?
I don't know. I mean, I think I want to stay in the States. I'll say that. Hopefully, I'll be cool with whatever, but I want to just stay in the States just so I can, be eating somewhat right and not be eating like, I don't know, fish and rice and beans every day and just lose weight.
Well, it's amazing what you can eat on a mission. I can attest to that.
I'll tell you this, Brock. You may have met Coach Fowler, Gavin Fowler, my son, who coaches the secondary when you're up on campus at some point. But he said, because he was playing football at the time, he was a safety, I just want to stay in the United States because I want to eat normal food, and I really don't want to learn another language. I already know French from school. I don't want to do another language. So he opens his call, and it says, you're called to Long Beach, California. He's like, yes, in Cambodia town, speaking Cambodian. Come on. So he ate nothing but rice and Cambodian food and spoke Cambodian his whole time on this mission.
But he could find a McDonald's if he had to.
Yes, if he had to go to McDonald's or 7-Eleven and get those hot dogs that just roll on the metal things, he could do that at least.
Awesome.
Brock, why is a mission so important for you? And when you told other coaches in recruitment, we're going to ask McKay Madsen this question here a little bit too. When you told the other coaches in your recruitment that you're going on a mission, how did they respond that you'd be gone for 2 years?
Everybody was great about it, actually. They were all like, "We'll wait for you, and your spot will be here when you're back." And they were all great about it. There wasn't anywhere that was weird about it.
And then to go, you're a prized athlete. You could go right in and start your college right away. A lot of kids have those same kind of choices. Why is the mission important to you?
I don't know. It's just I've prayed about it a ton, put a ton of thought into it, and picked brains of athletes that have done missions. And there's definitely some worries about it, like coming back and being rusty and all this stuff, but I know it's something I want to do and I need to do, and I think I'll be all right. Nobody in my family, none of my siblings have gone, so I just think it'd be pretty cool for me and help me a lot in the future.
Well, I'll tell you this, Brock, I just spent a whole week with two of BYU's all-time greats, Chad Lewis and Dennis Pitta, who both served missions. And they have multiple Pro Bowls between them. So it's definitely...
And Taysom Hill did okay, too.
It's definitely doable. So,
Yep, for sure.
BYU commit Brock Harris on the Wise Guys, live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and wiseguys.com all around the world tonight. During his 3 years at Pineview High School, Brock caught 118 passes for 1,600 yards and some change, and 21 touchdowns, still with a senior season to go. And Blaine mentioned a moment ago, BYU's had some big-time tight ends over the years, Clay Brown, Chad Lewis, Johnny Harline, Dennis Pitta, to name just a few. Lately, that tight end spot has been pretty quiet in the offense. So in your visits with Aaron Roderick and company, what is BYU's plan to utilize your skill set moving forward?
A-Rod tells me they're going to throw the ball to me a ton. And, yeah, they better, because that's what I want. I definitely want to catch the ball, and like I said, obviously I love blocking too, and doing all that. But I'd say running routes is what I love the most, and he has a great plan. He's a unique mind, and he has a lot of ways to get the ball to the tight end.
Hey, McKay Madsen's coming up with us in just a few minutes. You and McKay are a handful of top LDS players who committed to BYU. Describe the momentum you feel about BYU football on and off the field with recruiting, because it just seems like, hey, you announced, McKay announces, like it seems like they're coming in. Do you get that feeling? Do you feel a little bit of momentum on the recruiting front for BYU right now?
I would definitely say so. Yeah, if we can get some other guys on board, maybe like 3 guys that I'm thinking of, I think everybody else will just jump on board with us. And I think my commitment, McKay's commitment, definitely shifted the momentum for sure.
The 11-2 season and dismantling Colorado on national TV in the Alamo Bowl, as you're watching that now as a part of that, how much fun was that for you?
Yeah, that was great. Insane game. My boy Ryder Lyons had a great game that game, and we love Ryder. He's an absolute stud. Yeah, Ryder Swanson.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to ask you about the Lions now that you brought that up. There's that other Ryder Lyons. So
Reiner's great talent. Off on a mission now.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Ryder Lyons a little bit. So, he's out there. He hasn't announced what his future plans are yet. So do you anticipate that you and McKay and Ryder might all be playing together sometime down the road?
That's the goal, man. He's one of those guys. If he gets on, I'm telling you, everybody else will. I mean, like skill position wise, who doesn't want a quarterback that can get you the ball? And I've talked to him and trying to pick his brain, trying to recruit him a little bit myself, and he definitely loves it here at BYU. But I mean, obviously, ball's in his court. He can do whatever he wants, but I definitely think we have a big shot at getting him.
What's your recruiting pitch to him? What's it been? We're going to ask McKay this too, because I know you guys are both working him. What's your pitch?
I don't know. I mean, I just tell him, just like every time he posts something like from another school on his Instagram, like he's at USC, I'll DM him and be like, boo, or something. Like, come home, you're a Cougar or something like that. But we've talked and had our conversations, and I mean, it's clear he loves BYU.
That's good stuff. Yeah. You can tell him, hey, by the way, there's a 6'7" tight end that's going to be a great target and just post people up left and right that will give you a 70% completion percentage and pave your way to the NFL. So you better come throw to that guy. That's what you need to tell him.
That's a target. Jim McMahon had a big target. Ty Detmer had a big target. Max Hall had a big target. And you're going to be somebody's big target. So
yeah, I was with Max and Dennis this whole week, and you talk about chemistry. I mean, I could see that kind of chemistry with you and he, where every time it was a third down, it seemed like Max just dialed up Dennis. That could be the connection right there. You and Ryder, let's do it.
It'd be awesome, man. I'm telling you, we could do great things.
A few more questions with Brock Harris. How hard is it now? And this is, you haven't been recruited before. You've been recruited for a while, but Blaine was recruited a little while ago and stuff. But
that's a long time ago.
This process with NIL and this process with transfer portal and all that stuff, is it exhausting for a high-end tight end across the board in the country to just pick a school and move on? Was the process exhausting for you?
I'd say when you're in the thick of it and going on all these visits and traveling everywhere, at least for me, was the hardest part. Kind of exhausting, to be honest, going somewhere on a Friday night and then visit Saturday and then quick turn around and come back. And you're just dead and so tired, and get back really late Sunday, and you have school and practice and all this. But I mean, I'd say committing has been the best part. Just been locked in with who I want to be with, and just a weight lifted off my shoulders, I think.
Yeah, it calms down just a little bit. Hey, I was going to ask you who the greatest player in Pineview, you're the greatest player now in Pineview history, but I have a really dear friend that played quarterback down there that always tells me he's the greatest player in the history of Pineview. I'm just wondering if Brock knows about James Lark and how good he was, because he tells me.
James Lark is brought up all the time by our offensive coordinator, Coach Shaw. He loves to bring up other old players that have come through.
Because James always tells me how great he was, and the older we get, the greater he becomes. And he was just saying that he's one of the all-time guys, and I believe he was a great player here at BYU as well. Yeah. But I remember him battling in high school, and playing great for Pineview. So he is one of the legends down there. You can confirm that James is a legend down there then.
Yeah, he's talked up a lot by Coach Shaw.
I love it.
Weston on our live streams checking in from Nebraska says, Brock is the man, huge get. Shout out to Coug Connect for the billboards announcing his commitment. How about that? You were like a billboard star up and down I-15. Did that surprise you?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't told about it. I was luckily my brother and sister were in town, and we got to go see them. And yeah, that was awesome. There's like three different designs that they did. There's on like a screen one that they rotated the pictures and stuff, and there was like three different ones, and yeah, those are awesome.
That's big time. Blaine, did you get a billboard when you announced? I don't.
Did they even have billboards when I played? I don't know if they had billboards when I played.
They may not have, but they could have.
They did have a billboard in my old town with me back in New York. So
Okay.
there you go.
5 questions now for Brock Harris, presented by Strategy Square. Elevate your company's social media presence with Chantal at strategysquare.co. We're now going to learn 5 things about you real quick, Brock. These are rapid fire. And then we'll finish with you, and McKay Madsen's ready to go. And
McKay's in the waiting room. I'm going to say one thing, by the way, Brock. So the last person we had who was a high level recruit that came on right after she committed, still in high school, they came on. All she did was come in and be the Big 12 Freshman of the Year this last year, and is one of the greatest players in the country. And that's Delaney Gibb.
So this is a good sign for you.
So this is we're going to give you and McKay great karma, and you're both going to be when you come back Big 12 Freshman of the Year when you come back to back years.
All right,
so awesome. Sounds good.
That's what this does. Okay, you're going to answer these just the quickest thing that comes to your head. Okay, we're going to start with your favorite sports movie.
Remember the Titans.
Nice.
It's a classic. All right.
I think McKay's going to hear these now, though.
Yeah, McKay's going to get these same questions.
Yeah,
McKay, no copying Brock.
No copying Brock. You have to come up with your own. So, okay, your favorite singer or band?
Brent Faiyaz.
Who is it?
Brent Faiyaz. He's an R&B singer.
So how do you spell Faiyaz? Because I always look these up afterwards. So
Faiyaz.
Fai.
Okay, everybody.
Or Daniel Caesar. You can put that down too.
Daniel Caesar.
Yep.
Okay, you guys, you heard everybody out there all around the world. This is Brock's bands. Let's look them up.
New trend.
Brent Faiyaz and Daniel Caesar. We're going to find out if they're good. So, okay, next one is your favorite food.
Chicken Alfredo.
Chicken Alfredo. Does your mom make it for you?
Yep. She's great.
It's good stuff.
All right.
Great cook.
Okay, your favorite sports moment.
Ooh.
And I know it's yet to come, but so far.
So far.
Shoot, dude. I think I had my best catch of my career against Crimson Cliffs this last year. We only had like, I don't know, maybe like 18 seconds left before halftime, and we were on like the 40, and we were just throwing jump balls to me. I lined up on the outside, and first one got deflected, and the last one, my arm was getting pulled down, and then caught it with my right hand like this as I was falling, and it was pretty great. It was pretty awesome.
Wait, what game? What game did we need him in the back edge of the corner to do that exact play and win the game?
Kansas. Could have used him in Kansas.
Could have used you in the Kansas game this year. That exact play would have worked against Kansas, and BYU would have been in the college football playoffs. So
Johnny Harleen was on the show a couple weeks ago. He had that one-handed catch against Utah. It sounds just like the one
that's the one you
described. So that's a good sign.
The only difference is that Johnny had Eric Weddle on him one-on-one. Who's one of the greatest safeties in the history of the game. That's who was playing.
And you had somebody from Crimson Cliffs.
Yeah, that's the difference. That's the only difference.
Like 3 guys on the team.
Oh, he had 3 guys, which
added 3 guys.
Eric,
okay.
So, okay, right. I'm buying it. So, okay, then the last one. Favorite thing about your family?
Oh, dude. Man, they've always been there for me. I mean, my parents, they have sacrificed a lot, and I know a lot of people say that, but they really have sacrificed a lot for me to get to all the camps and everything. All those flights are not cheap. My dad's done fundraising for me and a ton of different stuff, and I mean, I'd say their sacrifices for me are the ones that stick out to me.
Well, you know, we've got kids. One of the best ways a kid can repay their parent is when that parent comes to the football game and they watch that kid that they supported all along get a one-handed catch with 3 guys defending him in the end zone, and everyone celebrates. So the paybacks are coming, but you're right. No one can get through it alone, and the support group that you have, that we've all had, is hard to put to words, but you did a nice job. Yep. We're grateful to have you here. We want you, when you get your mission call, we want you to come back on the show, all right, next summer.
Okay. We'll root for
actually in January, right?
We'll root for stateside with good food. Although you could go to Italy and get good food.
There's good food everywhere.
There's good food in Italy.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. So learn a language. We'll root for a place with good food. Is what we're rooting for Brock.
And we're looking forward to calling your games when you get back. So so we're thrilled to have you in the family, and good luck this fall at Pineview. And how many games are you going to try to get to? Almost every home game?
Yeah, that would be great. Just got to drive down almost immediately after my football game.
That's right.
On Friday to get up there. But yeah.
Hey, it'll be worth the drive. Yep. These next few years are going to go by fast, so enjoy the moments, and we'll see you soon.
Yep.
All right, sweet. Thank you guys for having me.
You bet. Brock Harris, outstanding tight end. We should call him a 5-star tight end. I think we have the right. He's a wise guy's 5-star.
He's a wise guy's 5-star tight end. And frankly, we're better at analyzing talent than most.
Yeah, I know. Highest ranked recruit at BYU since 2006.
Yeah.
And he's bringing his friends. Another one of his friends is on with us. Our next guest is another 4-star athlete who will bring his talents to Provo.
He's 5.
We'll call him a 5-star.
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 From this point forward, McKay's 5-star.
5-star. Following his church mission, is 6'1", 228, among the best prospects in the country at running back. Also a Nike All-American at throwing the discus and shot put for his high school track team. Our pleasure to welcome McKay Madsen to the Wise Guys, live from his home there in Clovis, California, just outside Fresno, in the study, where I'm sure you've read all those books behind you. McKay, good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me. No, this is my dad's office. So all these books are his medical books that I'm sure he hasn't touched in years. But
no, don't. I'm
smart
sure
being in here.
Yeah.
He's read every one of those. You know, he's read every one.
You
of
look
those.
smart being in there.
Yeah, no, he has, and he loves it.
Hey, there's some footballs up there over. I think it's your right shoulder, up and behind you on the right.
Yeah.
What are those?
Are those Stanford
what
footballs?
Are those?
These are Stanford game day balls that he won. You got Tal, defensive player of the game, Oregon State, maybe a Utah one up there. The old Pac-12.
The old Pac-12.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
That's awesome.
My son-in-law was an All-American at Stanford, played safety, Dallas Lloyd, and just so you know, Dallas, he's like, yeah, Stanford was great, but should have gone to BYU.
He should have gone to BYU. Hey, look, you just got home from your after-school workouts with track and field. When are your state championships coming up? How many are you competing in, and how many titles do you currently hold that you're going to defend?
Yeah, so I think the state championship is May 30th and the 31st, and it's so nice. It's at my local. It's our local sister school. So
wow, yeah.
I wake up 5-minute drive and I'm at the state meet.
Nice.
I actually have a dual meet there this Wednesday, so it's just super convenient being able to practice there a lot throughout the year. So when it comes to states, it's just routine. I got 2 titles to defend, 2 state titles. I won them both last year at that meet. So I'm looking to do that again. And
is that the disc and the shot? Is that the 2 that you're defending?
Mm-hmm. Yep, disc and shot. Not many people give it a lot of love, but the throwers community, that's why we're really tight and we all support each other, because everybody else is watching the track while some schools will put us a half mile out on the corner of the school's property, but the community is small but strong.
I didn't know there was a throw community. That
sounds
sounds significant. A throw community.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, we have known some really, really good throwers. LJ Sylvester, who was an Olympian here at BYU back in the day, and then there were several that were Olympians here when I was in school playing football. So BYU's got a great reputation in track and field. Are you gonna do some track and field while you're here as well, or are you just gonna focus on football?
That's the goal. I love it enough, and I think I'm talented enough to where I could make it work at the next level. We'll just have to see. Coming back from 2 years in Argentina and losing most of that technique and form, And now with like roster spots being a thing on track teams, like I think Coach Nick, the throws coach at BYU, he can only carry 6 guys. So it would just have to depend like how willing I am to put in the work. And I think I'd be able to get a roster spot and actually compete outdoors and get some points, but definitely be no indoor season. And I wouldn't have a ton amount of time to work on 4 different events like the college ones. So it'd probably still just be shot put and discus. But yeah, so that's the goal, is to do both. And we'll see what happens when I get back.
And you talk about Coach Nick Arrhenius, right? Is who you're referring to, and
Yeah.
And Nick's dad, Anders Arrhenius, was coaching back when I was in school. It's a great family tradition. Nick was a national record holder and all that. So great, 2 amazing programs that you're going to come play in, both nationally ranked, and that's cool. A lot of young athletes and their parents think they have to just focus on one sport. That's it. You have to be good at that one thing and just focus. But you're in several sports. So how valuable has that been in your overall development?
Yeah. It's nice and it's refreshing. Having track in the spring and still being able to like compete every week. And it helps me not get burnt out from football. That can be so much. And even last year, this time, I was thinking like we were doing spring ball already for football, and I realized I had more free time, and I don't have that this year. So it's kind of nice. But I love doing 2 sports, and you get the best of both worlds, still being able to compete. And it makes you more well-rounded too. Like I say this, it's probably a hot take, but I think throwers are the most athletic people in track and field, because if you're fast, you're fast. Like I get you can train and all that, but at the end of the day, you're just running. There is so much. It's so complex and articulate to be the best. Running, you kind of just run, and if you're fast, you win. But I love doing both. I think they go so hand in hand with the explosiveness from track and football, the speed, even on the throw, and just being able to compete. If a series is going bad or anything, you get another attempt. So it's just that competitive aspect too.
McKay, you made it very clear during your college announcement on NBC, which, by the way, no one really gets to do. So you got to do that, which is awesome. At that Army All-Star game, that you made very clear that your faith is important to you. How has that helped you strike a balance between being a sports star in high school and a teenager at the same time?
I mean, it all goes back to like Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ and the blessings they've given. I would not have this opportunity, even be on this Zoom or be able to announce at that All-American game if it weren't for the blessings that they have provided for me. So it kind of just roots from that. And I got to thank that every time. Because I mean, without that, I wouldn't have any of these opportunities. So that's the priority always, because then that'll lead to the success in football, the success in track. Once I stop reading the scriptures, and I get distracted by these everyday things, that's when the marks start dropping. That's when you get slower, you get a little weaker. Football, you're confused and you start messing up some plays. So it all stems from the gospel, and the faith in that has to be rooted in everything, and then everything else will just fall into place.
BYU prize commit McKay Madsen on the Wise Guys, presented by Brady Plus and distributed by the Deseret News. Tell us a little bit, take us back to the moment when you felt that BYU was the right place for you, when that decision in your heart and your mind came to you.
Yeah, it was very short before the commitment, I'll say. I had a great recruiting process, and I dove super deep into my 3 top schools, and did my due diligence, went to 2 home games at each of them this season, traveling every weekend, just not getting a break, but such a good problem to have. And so boarding the plane to go to the All-American Bowl on that Monday, I was still undecided. And I knew that I had to commit that Saturday on national TV. And I kind of set that date so that I would have a commitment ready by then. And I thought I would, but I didn't. So the whole week I was kind of just, in my own thoughts, but also talking to others on, why they chose certain schools over, say, bigger ranked schools at the time. And just getting a bunch of different opinions on, why they committed to, where they are. And throughout the week, I kind of had a set plan, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I had a set plan, and it probably wasn't going to be BYU. on that Monday. But every day throughout the week, like, and this is such a cool spiritual experience for me too. Like every day it grew stronger and stronger, and it was like a nagging from the spirit of just like a need to go to BYU. And I'd have these dreams, and I'd be playing college football in these dreams. And I'd wake up the next day and realize, I was in Lavelle Edwards Stadium in that dream. I wasn't in any other stadium. And then I'd just be like dozing off or just like mindlessly being on my phone and stuff. And I'd envision myself scoring a touchdown. And I'd be in a Cougar blue jersey. And so just small things like that and just repetitive nagging throughout the whole week, I just couldn't deny it. And I was like, and when my parents got there Thursday night, I was like, I need to go to BYU. Like that's all it is. I can't argue with what I felt that week. And so then the Friday night before announcing, I called up all the coaches and I was like, hey, like, this is my answer. I'm coming. And it was just such a cool experience. So probably that Thursday I knew of a surety but leading up to that, yeah, I was pretty indecisive.
That's amazing. I appreciate you sharing with us that road. When you called Kalani and told him, tell us about how that call went.
Yeah, so I called I called Harvey Unga first, my running backs coach. And I kind of like played with him a little bit. I was like, what's up, coach? Come in tomorrow. I appreciate all the love, and this recruiting process has been so fun. And it kind of made it seem like I was going to tell him off. But then I was like, yeah, it's just been so fun. Just thank you for everything. Just tomorrow, I'll be committing to BYU. And then he's just so exciting and just full of excitement over the phone. You can hear the joy of those coaches. And then after that, I called Coach Sitake and kind of said the same thing. He was just checking up. He's like, hey, how you doing? We talked about how I got number 5 for the All-Star game, because that's been my like childhood number.
Yeah.
And then we didn't have it in high school, so I wore number 3. And I was like, yeah, I'm wearing number 5. Kind of wish I had 3 though. So just start sewing it up because I'm coming in 2 years. Said something like that, and then he just got ecstatic as well. And then after that, I called Coach Enna, the linebackers coach, because he recruited me a lot too.
Right.
They were kind of fighting over me, which position to play.
Yeah.
And so he also had a pretty big impact on my recruitment. So called him as well, kind of played with him. I don't remember what I did, but yeah, got the message across and told him to stay quiet too, so it would be a surprise to the rest of the staff the next day. And yeah.
So you secured number 5 for your college career. Is that right? Or is that number 3 that you secured in your?
I mean, I don't know. I love 3 or 5.
Yeah.
I don't want 5 because if it's going to take getting Ryder here to want number 3, I'll happily go with 5.
You'll happily.
So Ryder's 3, and what you're saying is, Ryder, come with me, and you can have 3. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, you can have 3. That's all yours. I'll happily wear number 5 because my college idol was Christian McCaffrey at Stanford. So
Yeah.
big number 5. I've always been a fan of it.
That's funny.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
My son-in-law that played at Stanford, he was the defensive captain. Christian was the offensive captain. They were really good back in those days. So, and that's a great number, and that's a great player to play like. So I say you make 5 the Christian McCaffrey number at BYU, and have the same kind of respect. Or their number 3, number 5 has to have that respect that Christian McCaffrey's number at Stanford has at BYU. That'd be great. So you mentioned talking to Justin, because you also play linebacker. I'm talking to Harvey, who's the running back coach. Last year, 8.8 yards a carry, 140 rushes, 1,238 yards, 19 touchdowns. But you also had 131 tackles and 8 picks at linebacker. But it sounds like it's going to be running back at BYU. How do you envision your role in this offense, and why did you decide that you really want to be a running back instead of a linebacker?
Mm-hmm. I think since when I started playing football, which was 4th grade, my primary position was running back. And I was big back then too, bigger than the other kids, but I've always been fast. So I just have loved running back. I like, kind of in a controlling way, I love the ball in my hands in a selfish way. Just because I know what I can do, and that's helping my team score. Yeah, that's what Coach Sitake and Unga want me as. So that's what I'll be starting off as at BYU. And that played a big role in my commitment. But also, like, knowing they wanted me as both, like, not just, it doesn't put me in a box. Like, it gives me freedom, kind of. And of course, I'm not going to be like Travis Hunter playing both in the same game. That's absurd. But, you know, say something were to happen and we get 2 really good running backs and there's a need at linebacker, like, I would be more than happy to go switch to linebacker for a season. So to answer your question, like, where I see myself as a running back, just kind of wherever they need me. They use big running backs really well with LJ, Sione, and Rapati. So I trust A-Rod, and, you know, I'm happy to do whatever, whether it's throw me in a swing route, wildcat quarterback, or just run up the gut for 3-4 yards. You know, I'm down to do whatever.
On our live stream tonight, Cougar fans in Tokyo, in Singapore, all around the world here listening to McKay Madsen. Weston writes in another huge get for BYU. And Rick says, ever noticed that McKay and Mr. Incredible have never been seen together in the same room?
Yeah, what's up with that?
So now it's got us thinking. Judged by your videotape, you tend to seek out defensive backs and punish them as you run down the field. Do you find enjoyment in that? Because it looks a lot like Luke Staley, and we've thrown your name with Luke's quite a bit since your commit, as we've talked about the kind of runner you are. But do you find joy in those collisions downfield?
I kind of say like the opposite. I know it may look like I'm seeking guys out, but like I will always rather avoid contact and run around or stiff arm somebody than run through them. Because why would I avoid or why would I want to slow down or something, right, or risk contact or a fumble or something when I could just run around them? Obviously, there are instances where, you know, there's a couple puny corners in the way and they're kind of in my way of scoring. So due to the nature of football, I got to run through them, and I'm happily okay with that. No, I don't see contact. I'd rather keep my body as healthy as possible, keep them, you know, as healthy and free of injury. But sometimes if they're talking trash, like I won't talk trash back, but I'll just like run down a sideline, turn and look at the sideline, just start laughing. Or like I'll blow someone up, help them up and be like, no, you're good, bro. Just break down earlier next time. Just give them tips mid-game. Just kind of get in their head a little bit, and they hate it.
Give them some tips, yeah. No one
I'll
likes
enjoy
that.
doing it for corner. Yeah, I won't start the trash talk, but I'll try to finish it in a polite way.
That's good. That's good. Tyler Algier, who played running back and linebacker, but he also had a gift of getting across and seeking out somebody and then punishing them as they tried to tackle him. And you're about, what do we say,
just under 230, right?
230. Is that what you want? Do you want to get 240? Or is 230 right where your optimum speed is or weight?
I think to play, for a running back, I think probably 225 to 230, and just focusing on speed. That's kind of what I'll need to work on the most. The size and the strength comes with speed, and, you know, being 220, you're already harder to tackle. So at that point, I think I just need to get faster and more elusive. But yeah, probably 225 will be ideal weight to play at.
BYU 4-star / Wise Guys 5-star running back McKay Madsen on the Wise Guys live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and wiseguys.com. We asked Brock this question a few minutes ago. You're both among the top LDS prospects in the entire country. There's a quarterback still out there in Ryder Lyons who's yet to announce his plans. Brock told us how he was recruiting him. What have you been working on? And do you see a day where he's handing you the ball at BYU? In those dreams you've had, was he handing you the ball in 2028?
I couldn't remember who the quarterback was, but I could definitely see it being Ryder. Every now and then I'll chirp at him and be like, you can only find this at BYU. Or I'll just slide up on one of his stories and be like, come home, brother. Stuff like that. I don't want to be an annoyance to him because I'm sure he's bombarded with plenty other recruiting things, but just constant love, and he knows we want him, and he knows the love is genuine at BYU, and, you know, I could totally see him picking BYU, and us working with that triple threat, him handing me the ball or not, me going blocking, and then he dips it over the top to Brock, and we all run down and celebrate together. That'd be great.
Well, maybe you need to start having him be the guy in your dreams, and then that projection will have him have him come with you.
The triple threat.
Your lifetime in sports is going to go on pause for the next 2 years. You have your mission call to the Argentina Mendoza mission that starts July 2nd. Why is serving a mission so important to you?
I mean, first of all, I mean, the obvious answer is because I love my Savior, and that's what He's asked us to do. And then second, it's a priesthood responsibility. And so last week we had our stake youth conference, and one of my senior presentation talks was on missions and how it is our priesthood responsibility to serve. And it's kind of dwindling a little bit in young men nowadays. And they're kind of being more picky and choosy on it when that's not what it is. It is our responsibility to serve. We don't really get a choice. Yes, there is certain circumstances where you can't, but I've always been set on serving a mission, especially after seeing my brother come home 2 years ago and seeing how his life changed. And the kind of man he is now, like, I have no problem putting aside my career for 2 years when I'll get blessings the rest of my life after. And really, like, it's kind of cheating in a way. I get back and I'm 21 years old running the ball as a freshman. And I start July 21st. So I don't leave too soon. 3 months today, actually.
3 months.
July
July
21st. Okay.
All right. I had you pinned down there for the second for some reason. Well, we applaud your example. And when you get back, we'll have you back on the show and you can speak fluent Spanish for us. Have you been working on that? Have you been working on the new language?
Más o menos. Muy pequeño. But so my dad served in Tampico, Mexico. He's absolutely fluent and uses it every day. Being here in the Central Valley, like over 50% of the population is Hispanic. My brother served in Fort Collins, Colorado, Spanish speaking.
Okay.
So he's fluent too. So I kind of have FOMO when they talk, and I don't know what they're saying. Excited to come back and be fluent, but it's definitely going to be a struggle, I think.
Look, my nephew, Cash McCann, serving in Mendoza, he's been out 9 months, so he'll be out almost a year when you get there.
Awesome.
I already told him to make sure he's your trainer. So when you get there, look up Elder McCann in Mendoza, and he'll be looking for you.
He'll take care of you. Hey, we can never talk about the Central Valley. One of our dear friends, both Dave and I, is Steve Cleveland, who's a legend over there. I'm sure you know the Cleveland family over there. So I'm certain he's excited to see a legend, your legend over at Clovis now and in the Valley. He's really excited to have you come to BYU. There really is a good BYU presence and a good presence for the church where you grew up. Did the people around you and your ward and all that influence your decision to come to BYU in any way?
Not in a major way, but like tons of my ward is just diehard BYU fans. And so every Sunday they're chirping, they're asking about my other visits and comparing them, or they're like, did you catch the BYU game? Did you see the running backs? And I just kind of stuff that I had already thought through and everything, but really it just showed the love and community of the BYU fans. Like, that's why wherever you go, you're going to see at least half or more in blue. And so it's a genuine support system and community. So,
Yeah, you'll find some BYU fans in Argentina, I can tell you that much.
Absolutely.
When I was down with the baseball team announcing some games, BYU opened up at Fresno State. And so I was talking to some Fresno fans about you, and their reaction was, we're not getting him. That's not going to happen for us. That's going to happen for
BYU.
For the
no
big boys.
Fresno State in the future. So.
All right, McKay, we're ready with 5 questions. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to Brock's, but they're going to sound similar, but we want your genuine answers. 5 questions are presented by strategysquare.co for our incoming McKay Madsen. You ready?
Yep. Let's start with your favorite sports movie.
Favorite sport movie? Either Benchwarmers or Kicking and Screaming with Will Ferrell. Some comedies.
You like comedy sports, yeah. Of course, Brock took Remember the Titans, but Benchwarmers is a classic.
Kicking and Screaming's good because who was it? Was Ditka in that? Who was the other coach opposite?
Yeah, it was Mike Ditka.
It was Mike Ditka.
That's a good one.
So I was with Jim McMahon this last week on the Cougar Cruise, and he was telling us some Mike Ditka stories that had me just cracking up. So, okay, so that's it. Benchwarmers or Kicking and Screaming. How about your favorite singer or band?
Oh, man. I like the duo Nico and Vince. I don't know if you reckon they make the song like "Am I Wrong?" Kind of like an not an African style, but just like a pop. I like them, and I like Justin Bieber. I know like Bieber Fever and all that. I don't have that, but he just made consistent music, and I have a lot of his songs in my playlist.
Bieber's crazy talented.
Biebs, yeah.
Biebs.
he's
Nobody can. He's a crazy human being, but nobody can question his work. It's great. So
there's no reason to. We had Mariah Hudgens on before basketball. She's on the women's team, and she's a Taylor Swiftie.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, there's no reason to apologize.
She acted like she was embarrassed.
Just come
like,
right on
Taylor
out.
Swift is crazy talented. Now Nico and Vince, I don't know, but I'm going to look them up.
I don't know Nico and Vince either.
Yeah, look them up. It's catchy. It's like late summer vibes.
So
summer vibe.
We like our viewers from all around the world to get some culture and hear about some new bands. So Nico and Vince, and we'll
okay,
we'll have them look them up. I gave them Common Kings. Have you heard the Common Kings before?
I haven't.
Okay, I'm going to look up Nico and Vince. I want you to look up Common Kings.
How about Van Halen? Have you heard of Van Halen?
He knows Van Halen.
No one says Van Halen anymore.
That's leg day every day.
If he doesn't know Van Halen, then I'm gonna have to talk to his parents because this isn't right.
Have you noticed classic rock is still where the workout is and the weight room and all that stuff?
Yeah.
And then Nico and Vin show up later in the day. That's how that goes?
I'm sure it's good.
That's like driving from practice. Leg day is definitely rock.
There you go.
Van Halen. I'd say bench and arms day is more like pop, Justin Bieber.
Okay.
But yeah, legs. Nothing else works besides the rock.
Which falls right in line the type of music with what I told Brock, and I told him they used to tell us arms for show, legs to go, right? So the arms are great; they'll get you a date, but the legs are going to make you out on the field. So, and I like that it's Van Halen for legs.
Arms
day.
will get you a date. That's unconfirmed.
That's why Dave never got a date. So there you go. Okay, your favorite food.
Oh man, I was just thinking about this. Like just dirty street tacos or Panda Express.
Street tacos or Panda Express. All right.
I'm thinking, what's he going to get down in Argentina? He's going to get some steak down there.
Steak and they're eating pretty good.
Yeah. I think you're going to be just fine with the food.
When you walk into a Panda Express down there in Clovis, do they go, "Oh no, here we go, get all the stuff we have in the back"?
Yeah. It's a bi-weekly thing.
They know him.
It's just great. I just get the fried rice, double orange, and then honey walnut shrimp.
Okay.
Can't go wrong.
That sounds good on the way home from the show tonight. I might get that. So, all right.
Or my mom's pot roast.
A mom's
Potatoes,
pot
carrots,
roast. That's classic.
Sunday night.
Classic USA right there. So,
all right, two more.
All right, your favorite sports moment up to this point, because we know there's going to be more when you get here.
Oh man. One of them is track season, hoisting up the state trophy with my teammate. We went 1 and 2 in shot put, and so just us two and our points combined got us state runner up as team.
Wow.
We lost by like 5 points, but it was just the two of us, and we got 28 points combined. That was great. Or last year in our football Central Section Championship, I went 3 carries for 3 touchdowns. And so on that third one, I was just like, I just felt unreal. And so I was just going insane with my teammates. And then hearing the clock run out at the end, my brother, he had like recently gotten home from his mission, running over to hug him because I'd been to all of his games all of high school. And so he finally got to mine, and it was the championship. And so that was just such a great moment.
That's awesome.
Good stuff. Share it with family. So, hey, by the way, Dana Rock on the chat says a lot of Italian food in Argentina, and then empanadas and barbecue as well.
Yeah,
so
you can live on that.
Sounds like you'll be well fed down there. I think you're going to be okay. So,
I'll be good. Yeah, I'll be good.
Okay. So the last question we have for you is, and keep in mind, Mother's Day is just a few weeks away. So, what's the favorite thing about your mom?
Oh man. Ooh. Her smile is pretty great. It will always light up a room. Her voice is also amazing. She just sang in church, and she still got it. And then just her love and sacrifice. I would not be here without her. And so, I was thinking when we were at the game, told her she should put on the hat because she's done just as much, if not more, for my career and getting me to that point. So probably her love and sacrifice. And she makes great food, too.
Was she a performer? You said she still got it. Did she used to be a performer?
So yeah, she did Broadway, and then she was Miss California in 1995.
Wow.
And sang for that. Yeah, she sang for her musical talent, which put the nail in the coffin and secured her win.
That's awesome.
And so she performed on Broadway too, huh?
Yeah, she would travel the world, I think. She doesn't share much with us just because she says it was so long ago, but yeah, she's very talented.
She went to BYU. I know, so deep down inside, she was happy with your choice.
Yeah.
And your dad, went to Stanford, and he's happy that his wife's happy. That's how that works, right?
Yeah.
Moms usually win. Your mom was a Cougarette?
She was, many years ago.
If you tell me the years, then you're going to give away her age, so you can't tell me. Because my wife was a Cougarette. She was a captain, and my daughter was a Cougarette. My daughter is a Broadway star right now. So
nice.
I need to meet your mom. We're going to have
she's awesome. I met the folks twice.
That's right. You did some tours of the broadcast, but okay, that's on my list of stuff I need to meet. I need to meet McKay's mom.
Listen, we wish you the best in your title defenses coming up at the state meets there in California, and an awesome mission. And we look forward to calling your games when you get back, which are going to be 2 very fast years from now. So enjoy the moments, and thanks for being on our show tonight. And we look forward to growing old with you up here in Provo at the football stadium.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Can't wait. It'll be, like you said, 2 quick years, and then we'll be back running the ball. So.
Running the ball, talking trash in Spanish. That's exactly what we expect.
Let's go.
With other teammates that speak Spanish. Yep, that's the way you do it. So,
all right, Brock.
Thanks.
McKay, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great night,
care.
and give our best to your family.
Will do.
All right, right there from the dad's office we'll call that the smart room, because like he said, he feels smarter in here. McKay Madsen, this is, it's not an understatement, one of the biggest recruits for BYU in a long, long time. And then just before that, Brock Harris, one of the other big recruits for BYU. And I like what he said about the triple threat. If they get the Lyons kid, a fake handoff to McKay and hit Harris over the middle, or give it to McKay and let Harris block and have McKay take in the end zone, the triple threat for these three prospects. And whether Lyons comes here or not doesn't take anything away from how big of a deal it is to have McKay Madsen.
Right. And those two, along with the big tight end coming out of Cherry Creek in Colorado, these last 3 commitments, it feels like BYU has a lot of momentum in recruiting in both basketball and football right now, which is a fun time.
Those were 2 really cool interviews with the future.
Yeah.
A lot of times we deal with the past on this show, and a lot of times with the current, but we have spent a lot of time today on the future. And before we shift to basketball, let's do our Cougar Board question of the week. If you are unfamiliar with Cougar Board, it's the largest online community of BYU fans with thousands of posts every day. We read this every week, so you should be very familiar with Cougar Board. Right. This one comes from Preppy, one of their insider subscribers. Are the recent football projected starters entering the portal to leverage NIL, or are there other reasons? Talking about Keelan Marion and Harrison Taggart, who this last week went into the portal. It appears their BYU time is over. So this question from Preppy is it over, or are they just going in there to find a way to get more money?
So it's always a combination. I think money has a lot to do with it, obviously. But when a starter goes, because BYU is competitive financially with NIL, it's typically, and I think in both these cases, it's a combination of, I'm one of the guys at BYU, and somebody, do I have a chance to be the guy? Think about it. Is Keelan Marion the guy who's making a case to be the guy in spring ball? But don't we all know that Chase Roberts is the guy?
Yeah.
And Cody Hagan's making a play to be the other guy, right? So Keelan going into fall, I think he made a case to be, but he's one of the guys. Is he looking to go someplace to be the guy? And if he is the guy, does he get more money? I think it's a combination of that. And I think with Harrison Taggart, Harrison Taggart's one of the guys. He's a starting of 3 linebackers that are outstanding. But in all conversations, does anybody start with Harrison Taggart, or do they start with Jack Kelly and Isaiah Glasker?
Right.
And so I think Harrison's looking to be the man that they build a defense around. And with that, does more money come with that? So it's absolutely, to me, a combo of those 2 things. The opportunity to be the primary guy, the number 1 guy at your position, and to get the NIL money that's commensurate with being the number 1 guy at that position. So they go together, to me.
All right, thank you for that question. Let's talk basketball. It's unique because here it's April 21st. There's so much going on, and yet these two respective seasons are so far away. But in the day of the transfer portal and roster shuffling and building, everything is so immediate, right? And
Right.
You check your Twitter feed every few minutes thinking, hey, I must have missed something, and then get on there. And so let's talk BYU basketball. Before we do, though, I'm just thinking back to those two interviews with Brock and McKay and what they said about missions. These are two kids that it came down to Michigan, Oregon for Brock, and BYU. It came down to Oregon and BYU for McKay, and their potential for immediate stardom, in college is right there in front of them. But I just love their answers about why missions were important and why they're going to pause it and go. They're not looking for a short mission. Brock might be looking for an American mission for food, but he'll find there's food everywhere. But
when we mentioned Italy, he was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. Italy would be great. That's good food."
I just thought it's so refreshing. These are the best of the best, and top priority for them is as soon as I'm done with high school, I'm going on my mission. And then I'm coming to play football at BYU.
And it's interesting because things have changed over time. Remember, people forget Brandon Doman. Now, and I realize that maybe seems a long time ago to some people, but to most of us, Brandon Doman's time at BYU doesn't seem that long ago. Brandon Doman was the first return missionary to play quarterback and be all conference and go to the NFL at BYU. And before that, the general thought was, boy, that position is there's just too much of a skill set required. And if you leave for 2 years, you ever going to be able to come back and play at that level again? And so you had very active members of the church, some that have just been made emeritus as general authorities, and Gifford Nielsen, who at the prevailing knowledge was, well, you're going to touch a lot of people. We just don't think a quarterback can go. It took Brandon Doman, who really wasn't in the mix at quarterback, to go out on a mission to come back, to have a couple guys get hurt. It was fun to hear his story this week. Then to get the call and be a great player at that position for everyone to go, wait a minute. Obviously, you can go and play that position. And now you've had receivers do it and be great. Mm-hmm. Like I just one that comes to the top of my mind, Austin Collie. Right? Comes to the top of your mind. Running backs have done it and they've been great. Tight ends have done it and been Pro Bowlers. Multiple tight ends.
Super Bowl champions.
Have been Pro Bowlers and Super Bowl champs. Offense, I think it was always felt like, well, a lineman, you can do it. But can a skill guy do it?
Yeah.
Well, now the guys that have done it and shown that you can do it, and it's so nice that these guys that have a commitment to do it can go and have the peace of mind knowing, I don't have to give up the greatness in football to do it, and this is what I've wanted to do my whole life, and I want to serve my Heavenly Father. I can go out and do this and come back and be great, and they will.
I was golfing at the range with Taysom a couple of years ago, and we were talking about stuff, and I said, your reach to young athletes today as a kid who went on a mission and now is doing everything in the NFL that anyone ever dreamed of, and doing it more than most, right? He's the only one in NFL history with the number of touchdowns, touchdown runs, touchdown passes, touchdown receptions. And he did all that and is still doing it. But back when he was 19, he took 2 years and served a mission. And that's big stuff. So now here come these two guys, much more highly touted than Taysom Hill, coming out of high school. Although remember that that's their priority.
Taysom was thinking about Stanford or BYU. Came to BYU. That worked out.
Yeah, but remember he went to Stanford.
Yeah, he went to Stanford and then came back
and
after
Harbaugh
mission.
left and then came back. Yeah. But anyway, tremendous examples both from those guys that we've talked about and others. But it's fun to see these guys on the cutting edge of what society determines as immediate greatness in college. To go, no, I'm going to pause it.
Going on my mission.
I'm going. And the reasons why they were going. I just thought it was great.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Great. So, all right, BYU basketball. The transfer portal closes tomorrow. Last chance to get in.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. We'll see who stays. It's not tomorrow's the last chance to declare you're going to go to the NBA camps and stuff.
Right.
And so keep your eye on that. That's coming up
along those
later
lines,
in the week.
A couple of people were saying, we would like to get Richie Saunders on the Wise Guys.
Yeah, let's get Richie.
That's a great
on here.
idea. I'll reach out to Richie and see if we can get Richie to come on.
Yeah.
As you know,
he's been kind of under the radar.
he's been a little quiet. I don't have any reason to believe that Richie's not one of the key cogs in next year's. I have many reasons to believe that he is one of the key cogs.
Yeah.
And I have none that he's not. That's all I'm going to say at this point.
The NCAA deadline for seniors and underclassmen to withdraw from the draft is May 28th. So there's some wiggle room in there. The final deadline to draw from the draft is June 15th at 3 p.m. So the NCAA, the June 15th is more for international players who are not coming back to college.
Right.
But the NCAA put their own deadline in there for May 28th to give their current schools a fighting chance of, okay, if you're not coming back, I need some time to rebuild my roster.
Right.
So if Richie was not to come back, then Kevin Young wouldn't have to wait till the end of June to know he's got to replace him.
Yeah.
But we expect Richie to be back. How about A.J. DeBansa? By the way, he arrived in Provo. They moved into their place, he and his family, this past week. So he's here. School starts on the 29th. He'll be in class on that day, and he just scored 25 points. Leading team flight, leading score for team flight. They got beat by Team Air in the Jordan Brand Classic in a defensive battle, 141 to 124. AJ had 25.
It was like an NBA All-Star game. No defense played.
He's phenomenal. The more you watch him, one first thought is, man, is he really coming here? And then the second thing is, where can he take this place?
Yeah, he's as good as Yegor is. And Yegor, I think, has elite court vision that we haven't seen maybe in the last 10 years coming into college basketball. But AJ is so much more ready to have an immediate impact scoring the basketball. I think if you handed AJ the ball, and they're not going to ask him to do this, because you're going to have guys like Richie, that are side by side, Xavion inside. There's other guys on this team that can shoot it and can score, right? So they're not going to ask him to do this, but I think AJ is the kind of guy at this level, you can hand him the ball and say, dude, we need you to score 25 a night. And as a freshman, he could score 25 a night. Yeah. If that's what you needed him to do. There's not very many freshmen that you can say that about in the country.
No, and it wasn't in Yegor's game. He had a different game.
Right.
Yegor is, I could score, but I'm going to get the ball to Richie.
I'm going to give it to everybody else. I'm going to set people up. Yeah. And sometimes I'm going to get 12 assists in a game and 10 assists, because that's what my strength is. And his scoring has come along, and he'll even be better in the NBA because the floor is so spaced out with shooters and the rules around defending that he's going to be a better NBA player than he was in college as he develops.
And AJ had a play in that game the other night. Did you see it? He had the 5-star kid from Duke's guarding him. They're all 5 stars, and he dribbles it between the Duke players' legs, gets the ball, and goes in and scores. And it's like, that's how he does it. I have no problem with him. The shot clock winding down. You know who's getting a shot off? A.J. DeBansa.
He's hard to defend because who's going to go up and check that shot? He's just so long and so athletic. So
he's
going to be really fun.
ESPN's final rankings for the 2025 recruiting class. A.J. number 1, Xavier Staten's number 55. So that's 2 top 55 players coming to BYU next year. That's just never happened, and it's happening.
Well, and add to that one of the top transfer portal point guards in the country from Baylor.
Yeah.
And have Richie Saunders coming back, who's one of the best players in the Big 12. And things look really nice for next year, don't they?
Well, just look at the preseason polls by all these different services, and yet the idea of this is uncharted waters for BYU.
You have CBS, and these are the way too early preseason polls, but based on the recent transfer news and AJ and Xavion, the assumption that Richie's here, CBS has them number 4.
Yeah.
So this is the Gary Parrish poll. College Basketball Report has them number 5. USA Today has them number 5. ESPN number 6. Jeff Borzello's poll number 6. John Rothstein, basketball guru, number 7. The worst ranking we could find was Andy Katz at number 11.
Yeah. Just think about that. So if they were playing tomorrow, these are the polls. So when BYU, and they're going to add a few more pieces, so when BYU plays Villanova down in Vegas to open up the season, in some of these, they're going to be top 5 or higher. Let's say they add the Texas Tech kid. Oh, do they go to number 1? They go to number 2?
Yeah, it's interesting because
they're right there.
There's a couple of kids in the portal that BYU's still on.
Yeah.
And You had another elite level portal transfer kid?
That's the wowness.
Are they number 2 at that point? Like what,
And then just think of that BYU Houston showdown.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
But how about in Vegas, where first of all there are plenty of BYU fans down there. Mm-hmm. Let's say BYU is number 3 in the country going into that Villanova game. First of all, BYU will fill T-Mobile Arena, and then they'll see this team come out ranked like they've never seen them before, and then a chance to win that game on national TV on opening night, and it's on. They don't have to be perfect. They're not going to be in the Big 12. Big 12 got better all over the place.
Houston wasn't perfect, and dang it, they should have won that national championship. But
there's something magical about football and basketball. When you start ranked high, there's margin for error for when you lose. You don't go 18th all the way out.
Right.
You go from 6 to 8, and if it's in the Big 12, sometimes you go up.
And we have every expectation for BYU to be, somewhere between 10 and 15 in football. And then their preseason schedule sets up. They have a much easier route to a lot of wins next year than they did this past year. So if they go out and they win their first 3 games, they find themselves, securely in the top 10 before they even get into Big 12 play. This is
right. And then basketball is now, they're going to be in the top 10 to maybe 5, maybe 4, maybe 3. And that's not even blue goggle projections. You heard it. None of these guys go to BYU.
Guys,
they don't work for BYU TV. None of these guys.
It's going to be fun.
So here we are.
These are the same guys that said, boy, BYU's shaping into a Sweet 16 team. We think they'll make it to the Sweet 16. And they did, right?
Yeah.
And now they're going, wow, with what they got coming back and what they're adding, and they're not even done yet. Yeah. It's shaping up to be a really special year.
Let's run up some campus notes. We like to think once you're done listening to Wise Guys, you pretty much know what's going on campus. Let's talk about women's basketball. Lee Kamar's new head coach. Here are the additions he's made this week, and one he made just a couple of hours ago. Sydney Bentley out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, averaged 20 points last year, 5.7 rebounds. She's 5'9", 2-time New Mexico Gatorade Player of the Year. This one was announced just before we went on the air. And then he's got 3 others that have been announced.
Yeah, Olivia Hamlin, the 5'10 guard, Snow Canyon High School. 28.4 point a game scorer. Number 2 player in Utah. Originally committed to Nebraska, decommitted, now coming to BYU. That's a big get.
Yusef Bola, 6'3", averaged 24.7 points, 18.9 rebounds.
That's the thing I was most interested
during
in.
her season in Japan. So 6'3", and then Laura Rocco, also 6'3", averaged 10 points, 9 rebounds. She's coming from Charleston via the transfer portal. What did BYU need the most?
They need bigs. And I spent a lot of time with Delaney Gibb this last week. She was on the cruise, and Brinley was on the cruise as well. And the 2 of them, obviously great guards, right? And they were talking about, we need to get bigs. We need bigs. Well, here you go. Here come the bigs.
We'll have Lee Kamard on the show coming up too, and get his take. He's busy trying to pull this roster together, and he's working. And today was a big day. This last week has been big for Lee with his signings. Men's volleyball, 19-9, 7-5. That's their final regular season record. Now it's showtime. Today's poll has them number 7 in the country. They swept Pepperdine over the weekend in their home finales. It's always sad when volleyball ends.
Yeah, what a great environment.
The hot summer's coming up, but it was packed as they took down Pepperdine. And now this week is the MPSF tournament starting Tuesday for some. It'll run through Saturday. BYU will go on Thursday.
Yeah, and the winner meets USC, so BYU and Stanford, they've had good luck in Stanford this year, but man, USC hasn't been so good to BYU in volleyball.
No. So Stanford and Menlo will play on Wednesday. BYU plays the winner Thursday night at 9 Mountain Time on the Big Ten Network Plus. And then that winner, as you mentioned, will play USC. USC beat BYU here in Provo. They're tough. It's UCLA, USC, BYU, 1, 2, 3. Those are the seeds.
But it's tournament time.
Yeah.
Right? So who knows with BYU? Even though they struggled with USC during regular season, a great opportunity to get an upset and win the tournament.
So we wish them well. In baseball news, we have a few comments on the stream about baseball. By the way, Ryder Robinson this afternoon named Big 12 Co-Player of the Week. He had 2 home runs and 5 doubles in their 4 games last week.
Wow.
He was fantastic. Arizona beat BYU 2 games out of 3 at Miller Park. That was a hard-fought series the whole way. BYU won Thursday. Arizona won by 1 Friday. They won by 2 on Saturday. They're good. They're ranked 22nd. There's a reason they're ranked. BYU beat Utah Valley earlier in the week, 9-3. Robinson had 3 doubles. We called that a triple-double.
Yeah, triple-double, 3 doubles.
Because it was, and then we went to in and out, so it felt right. Big 12 standings: West Virginia, Kansas, Arizona. They're all in that top 3 bracket with TCU. BYU's down tied for 12th. The top 12 teams go to the conference tournament. A couple of thoughts on Cougar baseball, just to address some of those on the stream. You know, they're playing better. Mm-hmm. They're playing better than they were last year in the Big 12. They won 7 Big 12 games last year. They're at 6 already this year. They're going to exceed that number. Competition's going to get stiff. But the difference between BYU and Arizona in the series is BYU, it was a rubber match on Saturday, is when Arizona needed a hit, they hit a 2-run double. Mm-hmm. When BYU needed a hit, they popped out. It was the difference. The bullpens, it was 5-5. They go to the bullpens. Arizona's bullpen was 2 runs better than BYU's. The Cougars are close in some ways, and in other ways it's you just head scratcher and you go, what do they got to do to compete in the Big 12? But you look at the scores in the series that they've lost, and they've lost a bunch of series. I think TCU's the only one to sweep them. But they're right there, and that's what makes it frustrating, is for Trent Pratt and his group is, I just need that pitcher to do this thing in that inning, and BYU wins that game, but it's been hard to get together.
Yeah. Is it just all about pitching? I mean,
a lot of it
feels
is.
like in this league, that pitching, the teams that are deep win.
Yeah. BYU's defense is among the best in the league.
Yeah.
But sometimes the pitcher doesn't. If you walk and hit somebody, then it doesn't matter how good your defense is.
Right.
When they got beat by Arizona on Friday, there's a 3-run home run. BYU was up 2. They lose by 1. And the 2 kids on base, one got hit by a pitch, one got walked. With 2 outs. Those are free bags. And then in comes their big home run hitter. Best on the team, knocks it out. Knocked it over the scoreboard in right field. So that's that. It's like that's where you eliminate that, and now you've got a better chance to win games. So we've caught a lot of them. Pitching has been hot and cold. Bullpen had a really good week this last week. But there's been weeks where the bullpen was disastrous. The starters were really good this week. And it's the fight for consistency. But Arizona's coach, I thought, said it best about Arizona. Their strength all year is the bullpen. They get their starter 5 innings, and they go to their bullpen. So here comes the bullpen on Thursday, and BYU scores 8 runs on them. It's like, okay, well, so much for our bullpen that's been the reason we're in the top 25. And it just kind of goes back and forth. Now, their bullpen was better on Friday, and it was 2 runs better on Saturday, and that's the difference between beating a ranked team and losing 2 or 3 to a ranked team.
That's why Arizona's number 22, because they have pitching and they have that depth.
Yeah,
so.
And everyone wants, there's every sport on campus is thriving.
Yeah.
Baseball, look at the ground softballs made up from last year to this year.
They're night and day better.
And baseball's coming, just not as fast as some folks would like. And they're playing Utah Valley tonight, and then they've got Arizona State over in Tempe Thursday through Saturday, and then they're at Grand Canyon on Monday. So BYU fans in Arizona, a chance to go see the Cougs. All those games are on ESPN Plus and BYU Radio. And then their next home game is Kansas State, another good team coming in on May 1st. And yes, Arizona was without their best player, Brandon Summerhill, but everyone's dealing with injuries. And Summerhill isn't the reason that they're in the top 22. He's one of the 9 reasons in their lineup.
That's right.
That they're in the top 22. So softball's cruising.
Yeah, softball's doing great. 29-12 overall, 11-7 in the league. The Cougars swept 3 games from Utah, scoring 38 runs doing it. And talk about amazing late game heroics for BYU in that series. My goodness, that had to be a thrill to be there in person. We were keeping track of it off on the cruise. Thursday, BYU rallied down 13-9 with 2 outs in the 7th to win 14-13.
It was insane.
Crazy. And then Friday, they rallied from down 8-1 in the 7th to win 10-8. So Saturday, BYU win 14-5 in 6 innings. So
I'll be honest, I was surprised Utah even came.
They mercy ruled them on Saturday.
I'm surprised they showed up on Saturday.
It was unbelievable on Thursday and Friday. In Big 12 standings, Texas Tech's in first, Arizona's second, Arizona State's third, BYU's tied for fourth with Iowa State. So as mentioned, this softball team is taking a big step forward, and we hope they continue to do that. This week, BYU's at Baylor Thursday through Saturday in a series, ESPN Plus. Next home game is Texas Tech at BYU on May 1st.
They've got some home run hitters. Remember I had Gordon Eakin in earlier. They have some home run hitters. When that softball disappears into the night over there at Gail Miller Field, it's something to see.
Yeah, it's
and the way they flew out against the Utes,
unbelievable. In
crunch time at the end, it was something else. I was texting back and forth with Coach Eakin, and I say, hey, we can check with your cardiologist after Friday night. It was wild. Track and field national rankings: men are at number 9, the women are at number 37. The new rankings will come out tomorrow. But once again, whenever these teams go out and perform, they just break records.
All the time.
Sometimes they break their own records. And let's run down what happened over the weekend. Sammy Oblad breaks her own school record by running 51.79 in the 400 meters. And the previous record she owned, that she trimmed a half second off. And she beat herself. And now she's number 1 and she's number 2.
Yeah, it's crazy. How about Jenna Hutchins? She breaks the 10,000 meter school record, 32:22.98. It's just, like you said, it seems like every week records are falling in track and field.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Jenna or Lexi Holiday Lowry breaks the 5,000 meter school record, 14:52.93. The 5-time first-team All-American owns the program records in the outdoor 5,000, the indoor 5,000, and the indoor 3,000.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
More than pretty good.
Tyler Matthews runs the second fastest time in BYU history in the 800 meters in 1:46.20. He is fantastic. I think I might have that timer. I might be missing a 0 in there. Jane Hedegren.
That sounds
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Jane Hedegren, BYU commit. She's not even here yet.
Yeah.
She just set the new United States high school record in the 5,000 meters with a run of 14:57.93. She'll join the Cougars this fall.
Remember what Ed Ison told us? He goes, "Yeah, we got some guys coming and some men and some women coming." He's like, "We have some like AJ DeBances of track." Yeah. Well, this is the U.S. high school record holder coming to BYU. So I would say that's AJ DeBanza
She is the
level.
AJ DeBanza of women's track.
So this week, the Peyton Jordan Invitational at Stanford is on Friday, and the Aggie Invitational is in Logan on Saturday. They kind of split up and do both of those.
Who knows what records are going to fall this week? But somebody's going to do something.
Yeah.
And you just go, wow. The Boston Marathon was run this morning. 3 former Cougars in the top 10. Connor Mance finished 4th, 2:05.08.
The Boston is not an easy course. It's hilly, and the wind's usually blowing in your face. That's an incredible time.
Rory Linkletter finished 6th. Clayton Young finished 7th. 3 Cougars in the top 7.
And keep in mind, sometimes like the Boston Marathon, some of these big, what do they call them, the majors, have stronger fields than the Olympic Games. And so... Yeah, to finish 3 guys in the top 10.
It's awesome.
It's crazy.
We congratulate all of them. That's fantastic. Women's golf finished 8th in the Big 12 championships as their season comes to an end. The men are still going.
Yeah, they're ranked number 26 in the country. Western Intercollegiate, they just finished 6th. Peter Kim finished 3rd. This week, the Big 12 championships, Tuesday through Thursday in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Gymnastics, Brinley Anderson, a sophomore, finished 16th on the balance beam at the NCAA Women's Gymnastics Championships in Fort Worth, Texas. She was BYU's first individual competitor since 2021, and we give her a shout-out for getting to the show.
Absolutely. Men's tennis is 12-10, 1-7 in the Big 12. They're ousted from the Big 12 tournament by Oklahoma State to end the season.
And women's tennis, 18-10, 8-6. That's their final record. BYU beat Kansas State in the second round of the tournament, and then UCF eliminated them 4-1 in the quarters. So another spring sports wrapping up.
Yep, and women's tennis, that great season for women's tennis this season.
But as we wrap stuff up, like things happen, like the new schedules come out,
Right.
which makes it feel like everything's about to start again.
Right. So we've got women's volleyball Big 12 schedule was just announced, and here's some key dates: 18 games, 9 home and 9 on the road. Some games to look forward to: September 25th, Colorado is the Big 12 home opener.
All right.
November 14th, the Cougars are at Utah, and November 26th, Utah's in the Smith Fieldhouse.
That'll be big.
And then non-conference schedule will be announced later.
Soccer announced their schedule since we were last together. They start August 2nd with their blue-white game, and then August 6th and 9th they have exhibitions against Southern Utah and Utah Tech. Season opener is August 14th at Minnesota, and then the home opener, look at that home opener, Southfield, Under the Lights, UCLA on August 23rd.
Yeah, hey, BYU... Jen Rockwood doesn't mess around. We've had her on the show a couple of times, and she was another one that was on the cruise with us and talking to her. She doesn't back down from playing anybody because this is one of the top 5 programs in the country. So UCLA home opener August 23rd. August 29th, Arkansas at home.
Yeah, that's a great home slate. Yeah. And these are just some key dates. Their Big 12 home games will be West Virginia, Cincinnati, Arizona, Colorado, and Kansas. And then they'll go on the road, Arizona State, Houston, Oklahoma State, Baylor, UCF, and they'll be at Utah on October 30th. But I love when the soccer schedule comes out because they get going. I mean, spring or fall camp's going to start the end of July for football, but then you turn around and the soccer team's playing games the next week.
Right. They're ready
and
to
it's
roll.
all back.
And remember, they graduated the year before last from a very good team, bunch of pros, and they have a very talented team returning.
Yeah, a couple coming back off injury. They're going to be good.
They should be back up there. And I hate to put too much pressure on them, but my expectations for soccer is that they play in the cup. That they're a Final Four team.
How about that 7-day period? You got UCLA at Southfield, and then a week later you got Portland State at the football stadium.
Yeah.
And that's an exciting time.
Fun time. So,
let's roll out of here with On This Day on April 21st. There were a lot of things that happened on this day, and I like this segment because this is like our educational part of the show.
We do something. It's
We're
like
all about
reading
education.
all those books behind McKay in his dad's office. We're just going to bring you all the highlights here.
Yeah.
So, in history, on this day, April 21st, 1836, the Battle of San Jacinto in Texas. Texas wins independence from Mexico.
That went down today.
Yeah, that's big.
That needed to happen.
What would we do without Texas? You went on your mission there.
Yeah, I know it. It would have been like going to Mexico.
Yeah, it's like the capital of football in the United States.
It's their own. That's an own. They have their own. They could have their own country.
Yes.
And they've thought about it on a number of occasions. 1963 on this day, the Beatles meet the Rolling Stones for the first time. So like, hey guys, we're the Beatles, we're the Stones, and then they just hung out. First time.
There you go.
2 iconic bands.
1967, the first baseball game to get rained out at Dodger Stadium in 730 consecutive games. They hadn't had a rain out.
Doesn't rain there, they sing.
Never rains
only
in
when
California.
You go to Disneyland.
Girl, don't they warn you that it pours? Remember that song?
No, but it was fantastic.
It was really good.
On this day in 1989, Field of Dreams world premiere in Dubuque, Iowa.
Yeah.
And then a week later, they were everywhere else. But they went to Iowa to roll out Field of Dreams on this day.
When we talk in 5 questions about favorite sports movies, that one's named a lot.
Yeah.
So one of my favorites. So 1993, Walker, Texas Ranger debuts on CBS.
America's never the same.
It's never been the same.
1995, on this day, the Celtics beat the Knicks in the final regular season game at Boston Garden.
Yeah.
And they closed the Garden down, went to their new place.
Build a new Garden. So, and in 2001, the Falcons picked Michael Vick with the first selection in the NFL draft.
Man, that was a long time ago. Doesn't seem that long.
Michael Vick. And he got in all kinds of trouble. And guess who kind of brought him back and took care of him, took him under his wing, and who Michael Vick loves to this day for helping him rediscover his life.
Yeah, Andy Reid.
Andy Reid. Yep, Andy Reid, absolutely.
Now I think Vic's a high school or a college coach somewhere.
Yeah,
I think he's got that going on. April 21st birthdays, 1926, Queen Elizabeth II.
Yeah, 1947, Iggy Pop, the godfather of punk.
1951, Tony Danza. I remember him from Who's the Boss?
Yeah, Tony Danza.
He was born on this day.
Yeah.
April 21st, deaths.
Yeah, 1910, Mark Twain, who, by the way, lived in my hometown for a while. He married a girl from Elmira, New York.
Is that right?
Yeah, and he has a study that's on the campus of Elmira College. When he was writing Huckleberry Finn, He was not looking at the Mississippi River. He was on a hill looking over the Chemung River in New York and pretending in his mind that it was the Great Mississippi. So Mark Twain, 1910.
2016 Prince Rogers Nelson died on this day.
Wait, his name was really Rogers Nelson?
Yeah.
I never knew
He
that.
went to Prince.
Yeah, well, Prince is better than Rogers Nelson. Who's going to listen to an album by Rogers Nelson? So
Well, if he played like Prince, we
he
might.
probably would. You're right. So 2019, Ken Kircheval, Cliff Barnes on Dallas.
Yeah, that was JR's
Yeah,
rival.
JR's rival. Yep.
How about that?
So-
And on this day, today, in 2025, Pope Francis passed away.
Yeah.
April 21, death. Our Wise Guys inspirational quote of the week. We thought we'd grab some favorite lines from Field of Dreams.
Yep. So three favorite lines. If you build it, he will come. Meaning his dad, right?
Yeah, we all remember that from that movie.
If you build it, he will come. People will come, Ray.
Yeah, that's another great
Yeah.
line from James Earl Jones.
Oh, they most certainly will come. And the memories will be so thick, they'll have to brush them away from their face.
Nice.
I love that one. So
And then I love this one too.
is this your favorite one?
This one got to me.
Yeah. He says, Dad, you want to have a catch?
Yeah. And he played catch with his dad.
When he finally called him Dad, and they played catch with his dad. And that was the whole movie was about.
Yeah.
That Ray needed to play catch with his dad.
Classic.
And close it.
We encourage you to watch Field of Dreams when you get a chance. And when you see those lines. Yeah, we talked about those tonight. Those
It's a
are
great movie.
Our thanks to BYU future stars McKay Madsen and Brock Harris. They were outstanding. These interviews will be on YouTube. You can watch them over and over again.
Yep.
Look forward to their days when they're wearing the royal blue or navy or whatever configuration
whatever
with
the
the white.
configuration that week is.
It'll be great. And you know what? I just love the triple threat.
Yeah,
You got
absolutely.
Madsen in the backfield, Harris at tight end, and Lyons, who they're both heavily recruiting at quarterback.
Remember when we had a quadruple threat? Max Hall at quarterback, Harvey Unga at running back, Dennis Pitta at tight end, and Austin Collie at wide receiver.
I think we only won 11 games.
That offense was unstoppable.
Yeah.
So we gotta get. Let's not just get a triple.
You
threat.
know when that offense was most dangerous? When it was 4th and 18.
Yeah, that was when it was. That's when they were really unstoppable.
4th and 18.
So,
all right, I'm in the Deseret News all week. It's kind of much quieter week for me than last week.
yeah,
What do you got going
I
on?
was on Sports Nation this morning. So, and then the rest of the week, it's chill. You and I have a chill week this week. So we're going to see everybody next Monday night.
It's nice to have a chill week. Thank you so much. Remember to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube page. That's helping us build this show. We love to see that number growing. We got some great things coming in the days ahead with some fantastic guests. Next week, Dave Eberhard's going to be with us. He's in charge of the BYU dunk team.
Right.
If you ever wondered how you get on the dunk team, we're going to find out. And how much time do they practice before they roll it out there at the Marriott Center? A few other special guests as well. So we look forward to the weeks and months ahead as we count down to the return of BYU football.
Yep. It's just not that far away. So we'll see y'all next week.
Remember, Wise Guys is presented by Brady Plus and distributed by the Deseret News. See you next time.